Did everyone get a packet? Okay.
All the young people in the front row.
John is,
Better get off then.
John's kind of been with us for about a year now. He's gone through our church planning assessment process, kind of looked at a couple different places, and everything just kind of zeroed in on coming this direction and being here. So just has a real heart for the people here, has a real desire to get something done, and has actually been here, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us everything, man.
Well, first of all, I gave you all the information packet, so I don't have to go through vision and everything because I don't want to take up all your time. I know you had a good time with Jim, but the whole thing with Power of Faith in East Atlanta is to actually be a true
Power of Faith of what?
East Atlanta.
Amen, brother.
Is to be a church of the community, to literally not just start a church, but to plant a church. And one of the greatest things about that, when I tell a lot of pastors and talk to people, there's a difference. You don't bring outside people in. You actually got to grow, and you got to plant the seed and dig and till the land, and that's what we were doing. We were in another location, and the amazing thing about it was we started there because we haven't officially launched. We're just gathering, but we didn't really have a lot of growth. You know, we were using another one of the churches, and they were letting us use a room there. The church went into another direction and asked if we could leave. And so it was kind of heads up, and we're trying to find a place to go to. Because you can imagine, I'm getting people to start coming, and you know they're like, "Hey, okay, well, where are you going to meet at?" And it was like the first Sunday in September. I'm like, "Okay, I don't know what to do. Where we're going to go?" And I was working helping out over here in Reynoldstown with the community center, which is a Boys to Men program, and working with young men from the ages of 14 to 38 in this community. And I said, well, you know, I really like the Reynoldstown area. Talked to Jim. I said, can I zero in more so over there? And what happened, I tried to use one of the locations here, and they were like, well, we can't let you do that right now. And I just said, you know what? We're going to go ahead and just worship on the basketball court. You know, just do something radical, and just do what Christ did. And that's what we did. And it has been a blessing. Every week that we have service, that we have a worship service, the greatest thing about it is we get at least 2 new people every week, you know. Amen. And we've actually been working with the community. The gentleman right here, he actually lives in the community. And what he does, it is so awesome, because I have a song that's, you know, out here, you know, being a church plant, you don't really always have a lot of people to sing and everything. But he'll come over here and he'll help do his praise and worship. He has an excellent voice, and actually he also belongs to another church. But he's like, you know, Pastor, I love what you're doing. And we have different young men coming out over here that are loving it. And the community over here is a unique community. It's going through a regentrification, and one of the visions of it is we want to bridge the community together. A lot of times, and Jim and I, we've always talked that you'll see a black church or a white church. You'll see a Latino church and then an Asian church. But you very rarely see churches that are really showing what that community is, the diversity of the community. And this community is one of those communities where you have African Americans and whites living next door to each other, across the street from each other, but they're separate. And that's not what Christ's vision was. That's not what God wants us to do. He wants us to love and worship together. So that's why we felt that being out here right now, it's warm and it feels good, so it's great. I'm not disillusioned. I know it's getting cold, so we're going to have to find some place to go inside. So we're praying to use an auditorium. So we're trying to get every funding together to go use that. But in the interim, we want people to come out here. They have their dogs. They're walking early in the morning, and they get to see. They come and they're like, okay, what are they doing? And they'll sit right here and listen to us. So they'll sit over here. Since we've been here, we've actually sponsored three events, correct? Which was the Wheelbarrow Festival we helped out with. There was the Atlanta Metropolitan High School Alumni Picnic we helped out with. And then they had a Rest in Peace Day, which was a very hard thing. What happened within the past 5 years, 5 young men have been killed in this community. Murdered. So they had a day that they were celebrating their life, and we came in and helped out with that, and were able to lead them in prayer. And you know, it's just a wonderful thing of what UACP wants of being involved in the community. So one of the things that this is my first vision short, so please work with me. It's kind of new to me.
You're doing really good.
Thanks, Jim. But you know, the whole thing is with Reynoldstown, we're trying to impact this community and work with them. And the whole thing that we always ask is, what can we do? We've been welcome open arms. I know Jim probably showed you Park Grounds over there, which is a restaurant and / dog park. The owner there, if y'all ever hear, go patronize him. His name is Johnny. He's a great guy, and he's kind of funny. If you ever watch like cop shows and there's this bartender with like the little tattoos and he knows what you want, he's that kind of guy, but he's lovely. We went in and we told him and shared the vision. He was like, listen, whatever you want, if you want to use my bill, you want to use the place to have any meetings, whatever you want to do, you can use it. I have a drop screen, you can show movies, you can show whatever you want to. I mean, and not charging, and you know, I just think that that's awesome. So we're doing our small group Bible studies there. And we're doing a small group like in the morning, during the week, and then one in the afternoon, because we want to make sure we cater to everyone to be there for them. So one of the things we've set out is letting them know what can we do to help. One of the things that we're trying to get on is get a plunge in this neighborhood, getting some people to help us, because we are a small group right now. Our official launch date will be in January, so we're trying to get everything together for that. You have any questions for me?
By the way, Jean's the one who gave his phone number out to the prostitute who called him and said,
yeah,
she's coming to Pittsburgh. Well, Jean's the man.
And I'm going to be honest, a lot of that came from Jim, and one of the things they always taught is about sharing the gospel, and it's important, and I see that even by being in this community. Right down the street is Edgewood area, where there's a Kroger and a Target. And you know, I always go to that Kroger because we're always over here every day. I don't live exactly in this neighborhood as of yet, but I spend all my time over here. I shop over there, and every time we go in there, there's somebody there we get to pray for. You know, my assistant, Miss Mapp, is with me a lot of the times, and it's so awesome because I was just there the other day, and I was on the phone, and someone called. This lady was saying what she was going through, and I prayed right there in the store, and another lady came by and just stopped and started praying with us. And when we were over, she was just saying, I feel the Spirit of God, and I said, well, give her a fly. She said, well, I've seen him in here before because I've seen him praying before, and it just meant something like, you know, it shows that guess what, we can pray and we can reach anybody wherever we are. But you have to be a part of that community and let them know. The meat guy there, I was able to share with him, and he was struggling with being called into the ministry, and we were able to open up and let him know that, hey, you can actually do this. That where you are, let's just take the step one step at a time. So I'm kind of, Jim knows it's kind of a radical. You know, y'all are seeing the calm side of me.
Yeah, don't Google it. You Google Jean Ward, you're going to see him standing beside the Tea Party chairman for Georgia,
yes,
with the ugliest face I've ever seen in my life.
There was I do a lot of political and community activism, you know, and it's nonpartisan. I do a lot with voter registration. I'm real big on voter registration and voter education. And in doing that, I worked with the NAACP on the death penalty. I worked with the SLC and with other organizations on the GOTV right now. And at that particular time, it was a Senate bill that was being passed that was going to stop protesting, making it illegal to protest outside of non-governmental facilities. Me personally, being a pastor, I felt that, you know, I'm not really fond if you want to build a sex shop next to the church. And I'll get out there and protest. And that was one of those bills that was going to stop that. But it was the Tea Party, it was the Democratic Party, it was the NAACP, it was every single organization that you would never get along together, you know. And we all came together for one, and I ended up getting a picture taken with me telling them that we're going to take over the dome. But as you see, you just saw the couple walking here with their dog. This is the kind of community it is, and we just want to we want to actually bridge that gap. It used to have a very high crime area here. It's really dropped down a lot. The community is a very liberal community. They're very loving people that live here. You know, the whole thing. And yeah, Jim, there's actually a Georgia Tech fan that lives right across the street. Just to let you know that. But I think his daughter has graduated from Auburn, though. You know, but we literally try to do that. So one of the things we're trying to do is get people to help us hit this neighborhood plunge. We've been working with the police officers here, the city council, city council people, and also some of the NPU over here. So one of the things that I request from all of you, in the packet you'll see that's our information, our website is there. You can also find out there, have links to the television show Real Talk with Pastor Ward that we're trying to decide where we're going to go back on. on the air with. Our newsletter's also in there. You'll see a thing for the Sweet Auburn Music Festival if you're in town on October 13th and 14th. On the 14th, which is that Sunday, I am the host pastor for it. It'll be the second time I'll be the host pastor for the Sweet Auburn Music Festival.
Auburn Avenue is a major avenue here in the historic MLK area. It's actually the street that the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. is. And so Sweet Auburn Festival is a major deal here in this area.
You know, so if you're here, please come on out. We have a phone app. That's what you see the QR code for. That you can download to your Android phone, also to your iPhone, your iPad. You know, our whole thing is being progressive to bring everybody together as one.
I found the picture we passed it down.
I wonder who found the picture.
I have no idea.
Yes, Rick.
Hey, how y'all doing? Actually, this is my first time. I didn't know what Pastor Ward. I thought it was gonna be something different. But I just want to say this, right? I've been in this community right here like five years. This guy right here, I done been to several churches. Okay, I done been to several churches. That's a church right there. That's a church right there. Right next door to my house, 2 houses down. This guy right here, man, is an awesome dude. I break my neck. I don't even like getting up at 9 in the morning. I work right over here. But I break my neck coming over here at 9 in the morning outside. Now, I thought it was gonna be something different because he's like whatever group. I thought it was gonna be something different. But just listening to him, I just wanted to tell y'all the impact this guy done put on my life. For the simple fact is, and I hate to do this at this presentation, but I just want y'all to know what he doing is real because I'm just an average Joe. On the real, I'm just a street guy. So, to say this, I love to see this man right here coming. I know that Pastor Poto, I know this guy, Robinson, I know Pastor Williams down the corner. I love to see him coming. I see Poto, I'm just going the other way, I'm still shooting ball. Hey man, but I would stop actually, you know, I ain't no need to me lying. You know, if you feel me, YouTube is the truth. Because I say, hey, how you doing, and keep going. I see Pastor Ward, I stop. Greet him. Hey man, what's going on, blase, blase? Oh, he's like, well, I got a tour group coming outside of whatever. I said, can I go? Because I ain't know what it was. Had I known it was this, I wouldn't have came. Hey, listen, I'm just a street guy. But I love him, man. And what he doing, man, he done did so much in my life just the little time he been over here. This dude right here ain't telling y'all no lie. This the real deal. I mean, I don't want to sit in the meeting now. I'm finna go back to the gym. But I thought it was something different.
I understand.
But you know, I just want y'all to know, man, this dude right here, man, he done did so much in our community. It's crazy, man. That's for real, you know. And you know, that's the only reason I said that. But I do want to go, though.
Okay, you're good.
All
You're
right,
good.
He didn't call me out here, but I thought I would cover something.
Thank you. Does that have any questions? Anything? Please. Inquire away. No questions?
How could a church or a group of people that wanted to help you, what would they do to help you get going over this?
To be honest with you, one of the number one things I have to always say is prayer. You know, because there's so much that we're seeking for. We are grassroots. We're starting off with absolutely nothing. One of the things on our prayer list, we had to realize that I didn't think so much about it until I was like, wait a minute, maybe we need to do a PA system. And I began to look at all the things that we had to do, and we do offering, and this is a joke. We actually don't even have an offering basket. we pull out a chair, you know, a lawn chair that you have the football games, and we place it up there for people to give. And because because we're really grassroots with it. So any way you can help one another way is also people. If you live here or know people here that would like to help us get the word out and just share the gospel, I'm real big on relationships. More so than anything, I believe great relationships do go a whole lot further than finances. It goes a whole lot further than anything else, because I believe in God's favor. And God's favor is what's pertinent. I've seen God bless me personally. When I didn't have money to buy a car, I've seen him giving me a car. You know, when I didn't have things, I saw him just give it to me. And that, I believe, that comes from actually being open to have those relationships. So, those are the main things. Some other things I did put in the packet. One of the things, we know we're going to have to go into another location. We don't want to leave this area. To be honest with you, we really want to go into the auditorium right there. So we're praying for a relationship with them. The auditorium there holds about 200 people. To be honest with you, I feel we can stay there at least for a year or two to get to the 200 people. After 200 people, if you can't actually handle it on your own, then, you might be in the wrong area. But I'm a firm believer in planting. So one of the things I teach, I have associate ministers that are coming up under me, and at the same time, I'm training them on how to be church planters. So that's how we operate. So
Understand, folks, for Jéan to say that, that's a huge thing, because the culture is to train these assistants to be pastors. But to train them to be a church planter is a totally different thing, what he's talking about. So it's not about getting your assistant to go out, find a building somewhere and take his family and a few friends, and they live 30 miles away from the building, and they hold their services on Sunday, and that's all they do. And there are those kinds of buildings dotted all over Atlanta there were somebody's assistant pastor, and he's now a pastor, and he has a small group of 20 people, and they don't know anybody around them. They just found a building. And what Jéan's talking about, I want to train my guys to be church planters, to really get into that community and do it. So I think that is a bigger statement than those of us that come out of the Anglo culture understand. Okay.
It is, and I have to say this. I have to thank Jim for that, because to be honest with you, a year ago when I came into UACP, my thought process was different, And I actually, to be honest with you, when I sat down and talked with Jim, and they were asking which way are you going, because I was looking at going back into pastoring. I pastored before, and I told him, I said, I'm not starting another church. I did it, done that, wrote a book about it, don't want to do it. And he says, well, I just want to ask you a question. How do you feel about East Atlanta, East Lake area? So, and it quenched my spirit, because I had already been talking with my wife about some things about this area. And my main thing is, it hurts me when I see communities that are integrated, but yet they're segregated at the same time. I'm just being completely honest with you. And I feel the only way that we can truly overcome that is if we begin to worship together. We can try to put kids in school, but unless we find a common ground, and that commonality is Christ. And I really believe that. And if we begin to worship together, and people say, well, you have different worship styles, but in the interim, I said, if you actually stop thinking about how the beat of the music and listen to the words of the music, and you begin to worship with the words and not the beat, then it'll really fill your soul, and you'll find out there's a common ground there. And we'll move away from having emotional church service and beginning to actually have a spiritual church service where it's edifying God and it's doing something for our soul. Pastor Miller, which is our director of mission, he says, in other words, teaching your emotions some sense. So you won't, because I always tell people, I don't really deal a lot with emotions. Emotions are like roller coasters. They get up, down, round, and back where you started from. So that's what we do. That's how we hear. That's what I believe in teaching. So you sure you have no other questions?
What are these two churches? What's going on with those?
This church right here, this pastor, he has been here for 20 years. He actually owns this building, okay? And he lives in Clayton County. But most of his people come from Clayton and from Cobb.
How many miles away is that?
He's about 30 miles away. Basically, to be honest with you, here's one of the stories. The people here asked them to partner and work with them on some things. And with their people, they told them, they said, well, listen, our people don't live in the neighborhood. So they don't really care anything about it, because they just come in. And this came from one of the associate pastors. Now, this building here, another church was there, they just left. We went to, it was for rent, we went to go see how much it was, and they wanted $1,250 a month for it. It seats about 60 people. And, the people that work in my core, they said, Pastor, what do you want to do? I said, I don't want a building that bad. And they wanted us to cover the upkeep of it. If anything wrong, fix the roof, everything, plus $1,250. I said, to me, that's spiritual suicide. And I told them, I said, listen, no disrespect, but I'd rather have funds and resources to be able to pour back into the community than to be putting into a building. You know, and at some point when we have to build our own location and take that over, then we'll be strong enough to do it, and the community will be supporting with us because we've already planted into it. I believe a ministry should come in giving something to people versus asking them to give them something.
One of the things you need to know is a lot of our guys like Jéan are trying to do church different than what they grew up in. And what they found out is that their generations are not being reached by the churches is. And that's why churches have black churches, you know, Anglo and African American. There was an article in Ebony magazine about a year and a half ago, why young black families no longer go to church. And not a religious magazine, Ebony. And it was interesting that it talked about things like the African American young families still like the culture of their church, but they don't want to go 3 hours, and they don't want to just have a cathartic experience. They want to know what the Bible says. They want someone to teach them how to be a better father, how to be a better husband. They want an experience of their culture, but they don't want how it's packaged that they grew up with. And a lot of our young guys like Jéan and other guys like him are saying, okay, we're going to leave. Jéan could easily get a church somewhere. He could be a pastor of an existing church, but he's not going to reach a generation. Right? They're deciding, I've got to do something to reach my generation. And that's the reason they've connected with us. We go through a process of rethinking some things and all of that, but it's all a matter of not trying to reach African American communities like we reach Anglo communities. It's about trying to reach lost people for the gospel, and we'll let all that other stuff figure its way out. Okay.
It's funny you say that, Jim. I had Sunday after service, we always have a little powwow, just talk to people, and our service is 1 hour. Literally, we structured it that way, 1 hour. And I asked the question. I said next week I want you all to be able to tell me about the fivefold ministry and tell me about baptism. I asked about what is discipleship and what is baptism. And it was some people that had been in church for a long time, and they could not answer the question of what is baptism and what is true discipleship. And it began, and what it shows is, even though we see the statistics are saying that 60% are lost, the problem within that 40% that are going to church that call themselves Christians, they still don't understand. They don't know. They don't know what it means to be baptized. And one of the things, that's why one of the things we tell them is, listen, there are two charges, and that is to baptize and disciple. But I got to teach you what true baptism is, and what does it mean to be a believer. And I'm a firm believer of not being a fan of Christ, but being a follower of Christ. You know, so I tell people, get out the seats and get on the playing field.
Any questions for Jéan before we go?
What is this building?
Okay, both of these are actually owned by the city of Atlanta. The bottom part is Boys to Men, which is a nonprofit organization, and they also share the building with the arts department, the cultural arts department that they work with. In this part of the building, they are they host like home buying seminars, community enrichment, things like that. So they're both actually rented out. Actually, the first Monday after the second Sunday. The first Monday after the second Sunday, they have a community meeting, the Reynoldstown community meeting in this building. So that's basically all they do there. What the Boys to Men program does is they do things that we help out with education, as far as GED programming. One of the things we're working now is going to work with Magic Johnson, his new school, and moving them away from just getting a GED to getting a high school diploma. Also, advanced training after high school.
But you were talking about
Auditorium.
The auditorium is an auditorium that's attached to it that no one really uses except for the meetings. That's it.
So what's the chance of your being able to use it?
For $1,200 a month, you can do it now.
Oh, is that all? So that's a better 1,200 than that?
Well, no. How much is
This will be it'll be roughly about 1,000 to 1,200, but this holds at least 200 people.
Yeah.
You know,
but they haven't released you to be able to use it well.
They have not released me to use. This part I was trying to use. There was a part down here I was trying to use. They haven't released me to use that one. But this one up here would be a fee for me to use, which is around 12, which is 1,000 to 1,200. The difference is this holds, I know, at least 200 people. It is more of a setting, and I wouldn't have to worry about the added things of fixing it up, things that
Or even probably utilities.
or utilities. No,
Who is the they? Who do you have to get permission from?
it is the I'm so sorry, it drops my mind. The actual organization that is running that's leasing that space, I'd have to actually lease it from them.
So you'll
Like
sublease from them.
sublease.
Yes. But I can, if you want that information, I can actually email it to you. That's not a problem. And actually the sign is on the front over there also, so I can actually get that, and actually the director's number, because I did speak with him. I just didn't want to go into detail of it right now because I knew
Well,
financially.
they don't have $1,200 a
Right.
month to do it if they said yes.
Right,
How many
so,
members do you have now? Do you have any members?
Attenders.
yes, attenders right now, it's funny. We have on paper about 20, I say about 24, which is, I think it's about 24. And we average about anywhere from 8 to 15 a Sunday.
But he's just started, so
You know.
understand that's okay.
I mean, and the funny part about it, I always say, like, this Sunday, I think we had about 8 people here, but we had 4 families that was on vacation. So, I've never had a service where everyone's been here, but every Sunday, there are always new people coming.
Do you meet here just for worship? Or
We-
you have Bible study?
I
and
mean,
then
here for worship, and then we actually do we're doing Bible study down here in the Boys-to-Men area, and also we're going to be working in the Park Grounds area. Those 2 locations. The evening time is over here, and the morning time will be at Park Grounds.
John's only been in Reynoldstown for probably 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, September, the first Sunday in September was our first Sunday here.
He was actually down in Edgewood, and he's just coming to Reynoldstown. 2 different communities. Okay, they're not the same community. So
So when do you meet here? Sunday night?
Sunday morning at from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
and there's a lot of people that exercise their religion on basketball courts. I know them all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got another
So
question?
what do you say about the Bible study? Where is that? At the park grounds?
At the Lane Carson Center and at Park Grounds.
Okay. What time is that?
We're kind of fluctuating with it right now because there's no set time. It's just the afternoon and in the morning.
Okay.
What we do is just go there and wait for people. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Well, let's gather around John. Can we do that? Barbara, would you mind praying over him?